Welcome to the Vigor Life Podcast, a source of inspiration, lessons, stories, skill sets, mindsets, and strategies to invigorate and expand all areas of your life. Let's go. Hey, what's going on? Luka here, back with the Vigor Life Podcast, and I feel like I've been gone for a while. You guys probably won't notice it because these aren't coming out you exactly live, right? But I'm excited. I mean, I've been on a bit of a road trip. I was up in Toronto at the Strong Pro Summit that John Goodman and PTDC were putting on, which is an excellent event. And from there, and that was actually during my birthday weekend where we had some shenanigans going on. So I love to travel. I love to learn. If I can mix them together and meet with great friends, then that's great. So my guy Hugh was up there with us. My friend AJ Roberts was there. I got to hang out with a good friend John Berardi, Mark Fisher, and if I'm forgetting anybody, slap me in the face. But it was pretty excellent. And from there, I went down to New York City to the main reason was to meet with Gary Vaynerchuk, which I had pretty much about a 90-minute meeting with. As I purchased a lot of his books to have a meeting with him. And there's I think that's kind of just a little quick lesson before we go on today's main agenda, main theme, or my main point is that I'll go far and wide to be around the best people in the world at what they do and learn from them and see their perspectives and more than anything too, like build relationships. So it was pretty much I was on the road 9 days, working, training, learning a lot, studying a lot, and it was a pretty great time. And to kind of plug this in, so today's I wanted to talk about positive addictions. You can replace that. You can replace that with the word habit. You can replace that with the word behavior. On this podcast and just in general, you've probably hear me speak that I think, our lives essentially are driven completely by habits. So who you are today is a big result of what you do on a daily basis repeatedly, right? And from Socrates said, right, if excellence is what we repeatedly do essentially makes us so. Excellence isn't an act but a habit, right? And I might have been a couple of words off there with the quote because I got so many in my head. But with that said, this is something that we teach here at Vigor Ground, and it's such a big thing. And I think that it can become overplayed. It can become overplayed because people talk about it so much, but like really breaking it down. I wanted to share a couple of things from my life that are really working, and I want to I'm so far from pretending like I have my whole day structured out and just tons, like all of my habits are good habits. That would be, I call bullshit on myself. But there are some things that I've started doing in the morning and done them consistently enough to where it reaps huge benefits from not that big of an investment of time, should I say, time and energy. And they've made big changes, but on top of that, it's like something that everybody can do. Because I know sometimes it's like, well, but you don't have the same schedule as me, and you don't do this and that and the other. But I want to put it out there and show you how that can really work. So one of the last shows we had Max Shank. We had Max Shank here on the show, which was awesome. And Max is kind of I would say hashtag and popularized the 5-minute flow, which is great. So the 5-minute flow pretty much is 5 minutes of mobility, and you just kind of take it. Obviously he's putting out videos, a bunch of people putting out videos now of it, but really for me it's like getting up in the morning, and the first thing I do, like legitimately, I step out of bed, the first thing I do is this 5-minute flow, and I'll start. So this is kind of, you may feel the same way. If I feel like I have to start doing something more complicated in the morning, I'm just like, I'll do it later. But pretty much what I convince myself is like, look, it's 5 minutes. I'll just start with head circles. And it's what I do every morning. So I start with the basic stuff, like the head circles, the shoulder rolls, basically just the things that are like really small in nature. They're not like really exhausting, anything like that. And then as I do that for a couple minutes, I start getting looser. I start feeling better. Now all of a sudden I'm doing mobility and squat to stands and Spider-Man lunges and thoracic extension. So I kind of just go from easier to more complex. And I tend to usually go about 10, 15 minutes. And but my goal is always 5 minutes, right? It's always 5 minutes. So this morning I had to rush a little bit. It was probably about 7 to 8, but I just say, hey, as long as you do 5. And then I start enjoying it and I do about 10, 12. Now, this, let's just call it 10 minutes. These 10 minutes in the morning have done absolute wonders for me. And, you know, I've been tracking about like how I feel. I've had a bugging kind of like IT band flare up. And this whole week, as I've been doing this, like pretty much it's 90% smaller. And the only things like there's only a couple of things that I've changed in my day. And that's one of them. I have less headaches, less anxiety. I have, put it this way, once I get to my training session, which is later on in the day, I'm way less wound up. And this is all from this 10-minute investment. And this is not like, look, this is not ShamWow, like, woo, you know, buy this now. It's like it's free, right? But the point of it is that if you do it 7 days a week, legitimately, like that's the thing that you do in the morning, your 5-minute flow, like you will reap the benefits, because this is the foundation. Like if you think about it, right? The movement is the foundation. Our bodies are temple, and movement is the foundation of everything we do every day, right? If you have faulty movement, if your joints don't work well and move well, everything that you do is kind of, let's say that it's using up those joints, right? I mean, yes, I'm going to go back to the car analogy, and if something's out of whack and out of line, the more you use it, the more it gets worn down, right? So you got to align it first for it to work right. So that's the same thing with joints. And really nobody, you know, very rarely does somebody take care of their joints. And if like, what if the first thing in the morning that you do, you start moving? And then there's tons of other benefits from, like I said, from aligning dopamine and norepinephrine. And like everybody can do this, right? 5 minutes of flow is not like, if somebody asks me like, hey, how do I put on 20 pounds of muscle? Right? It's like, hey, you're gonna have to do a bunch of training and eat this way and that way. But the foundation for everyone, right? If you're 7 years old, if you're, 16 years old, if you're 31 and you work in a desk job, or if you're a nurse and standing up all day, the 5 minute, like that's a foundational thing that can legitimately like reap humongous benefits. Just do, here's the thing, right? Just test it out, because there's a lot of stuff that people tell me like, hey, you should try this. I'm like, whatever, man. But then if I just give it like 10, 15 days in a row to prove myself wrong, essentially, right? Or prove myself right if I don't think it's going to work. And then I see what happens. And I pretty much gave it like right now, I think it's like day 8 or 9 that I've been consistent. So I've been doing it before, but like this is day 8 or 9 that I'm being consistent. And I just feel so much better. Like my recovery better, my sleep is better. And essentially, if I look at a week time frame, I've invested about 80 to 90 minutes, probably across those 7 days. So a little more than an hour investment in a week to get so many great benefits out of it, right? So to me, this is a positive addiction now. So that's why I said positive addictions, right? When you look at your life and you're like, okay, I am here, right? But this is where I want to be. And this is where I want to be, maybe your finances, and maybe, like I said, getting out of pain and being leaner and stuff like that. It may be a relationship. It may be some career stuff. It may be, having a different mindset and perspective and outlook. And between where you are and where you want to be, there's a bridge, right? There's a bridge, and that bridge is filled with, behaviors. A lot of times sometimes it's filled with people you need to meet, books you need to read, courses you need to attend, and things of that nature, or maybe beliefs you need to change, right? But and then that kind of, you start crossing that bridge and just knocking out one thing at a time. Well, these positive addictions to me, are exactly that, right? So how can I get addicted to something positive that takes me to exactly where I want to go? And lately, so I turned 35 years, at 35 years old, a couple weeks back, and essentially, so I'd love to believe. So I've like this convincing myself, like, hey, look, I can recover like when I did when I was 23, and it's just not true, right? I mean, at 23, I was like, playing pro basketball and training 6-7 hours a day, and right, it's like now I'm doing some real tough training sessions. It's like, whoa, I need the flow tank, I need Panya, I need all these different things. So. But it was like I started getting like more aches and pains when I'm doing heavier lifting, and if I'm doing jumps and sprints and stuff like that. So I needed to find a positive addiction that was going to counter that and help me recover, help me feel better, help me be less, kind of like, oh man, TFL, oh this, oh that. And this was the positive addiction that led me there. And so now I'm like, I'm seeing the benefits, right? If within days and weeks or a week you see benefits, just like with training, right? You drop 5 pounds in 2 weeks because you made some changes. You're like, whoa, feel better. I'm seeing the results. Like, it gets you fired up. So this is a positive addiction that I've added. Number 2, this is a recent one, actually, very, very recent. And to some of you, you might be like, oh man, he's just getting it now. Hey, but this is like, I bought the Vitamix, right? So I have this pretty bad habit where I get up in the morning, or should I say I had this bad habit, right? I'd get up in the morning, I do my rituals, which I'll talk about in a little bit as part of these positive addictions. But then a lot of times I'm like looking at my phone like, holy shit, so much to do. Email, got to answer this, got to write this blog post, got to create this campaign, got to write these programs in staff, whatever it may be. And then I'm out the door. And out the door, I go to the super supplement store, and there I get my, protein shake and a protein cookie. And so it's a lot of protein stuff and whatever, but it's all processed. It's probably not the best thing that I could do for myself nutritionally. And on top of that, it's like I'm dropping, $15-$16 every time I walk into the store, right? So, and this has been my ritual essentially, right? And then from there, I go to either, the office and work and whatever it may be. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this. Like, something's got to change. This is not the best of habits. So I got to create another positive addiction. And, the crazy thing is I love smoothies, right? But it's just, this is a perfect example of when you fall into a habit that isn't necessarily serving you, but you just keep doing it, right? So that was me. And finally I call up Tosh and I said, look, meet me at Costco. I'm getting the fucking Vitamix. And, I end up showing up, get the Vitamix, and it legitimately now, Vitamix is like $400. I think the Pro is like $600 or $700, something like that. But it legitimately has been the best investment, period. So now it's like I get up in the morning, I do my 5 minutes of flow, and now I'm playing around with these smoothies that take me legitimately like 3-4 minutes to make, right? So this week, pretty much all I've been making is, so I put almond milk, I put in Onnit's whey protein, then I do spinach, blueberries, about 2/3 of a banana, some almond butter, a scoop of MCT powder from Quest Nutrition, right, and ice, and I just blend that up, and it's like, so I'm pretty much, when I compared what I was doing as far as nutrients go, right, I got real food. I put in some cottage cheese too. There you go. I put in real food versus all processed food. I'm probably saving about $7 to $8 every single time. So that's $50 a week. That's crazy. And I do it at home. I don't drive to the store. So you see how like this one thing that I did, right? This one positive addiction is like really switching up a lot of stuff. It's buying me about 20 to 30 minutes that I'm not driving now to super subs. It's I'm actually up. First of all, it takes me 2 to 3 minutes to make. I'm having fun with like different flavors and putting in different nutrients. I know exactly what I'm eating. It's unprocessed food, which means that I'm absorbing less calories, but I'm also putting in more nutrients. And it buys me actually some more time in the morning, not to mention how much money I'm going to save across the year, right? So one positive addiction, snowball effect, doing a lot of good stuff. So these are both 2 things that I've added in the last, let's just say 2 weeks, that have reaped huge benefits. And I'll just give you some stuff that I've been doing for quite a while. I flipped it around where I used to meditate first thing in the morning. So now I do my 5 minutes of flow. I do my smoothie. Because I bought myself time, I do meditation for about, the morning I only do it about for 10 minutes, and then I read for 15 minutes. And that 15 minutes usually is just something that is, let's just say, positive, motivational, like fire me up. Sometimes it'll be an audiobook or a video. Most of the time it's a book, right? But so those 2 habits I've had in place. And all together, so if I look at my 5 minutes of flow, which ends up being about 10 minutes, making my smoothie, meditating, and reading for about 15 minutes, is less than an hour, literally less than an hour of time. So when somebody says, well, you make your own schedule, I do, my schedule pretty much is all day long. But no matter what you do, if you can take 45 minutes to an hour of your time in the morning to dedicate to yourself, and build in these positive addictions, it legitimately can be a catalyst to change your life. And it sounds so crazy, right? But as I just mentioned, 2 that I've added in the last weeks, the benefits have been huge. And you do them long enough to, like I said, you're addicted to the positive habits, just like you can be addicted to negative ones, right? You can, the feeling of, if you're constantly drinking coffee and it's like, oh, stressed out coffee, my energy goes down, drink coffee. Whereas, you could replace that habit with something else that fuels you, that serves you. You can start doing that in every aspect of your life. And, we'll do a show where we'll start breaking down some other things. Like I said, there's things such as positive focus, which I've learned through Gary White and the Warrior Mastermind, and Power Focus doing, Byron Katie's work. And there's a bunch of other things like the 5-minute journal. So in the evenings now, I record my 5 wins. I've probably talked about this before. And the 5 wins is just like, what are you grateful for that day? Like what, and it could be from the smallest things to, the biggest wins. But a lot of it is just looking back at the day and saying like, hey, look, I'm appreciative of this. I'm grateful for these things happening, so that life doesn't pass you by and you're constantly, shooting for the horizon. Like no matter how well you did, you never pat yourself on the back. You're just like, oh, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And this is, this has been one of my issues personally, is go 100 miles an hour. No matter what I do, it's like, oh, there's the next thing. Let's go, let's push. So the 5-minute journal and just recording your 5 wins, sitting down, spending, 5-10 minutes, just going over stuff, and also planning your next day, is another positive addiction, right? It's like slows down time. Now I can look at what I did this day and feel accomplished about some things and what I'm grateful for, what I'm thankful for, and look at the next day and go like, okay, what am I going to do tomorrow? And also sometimes what am I excited about tomorrow? And if you have a partner, so if you're in a relationship with someone, girlfriend, wife, boyfriend, husband, whatever it may be, there's something that actually Nate Green does, is like basically that I'm trying to and working on incorporating, making another positive addiction, is, every morning saying 3 things that you're grateful for, and then 3 things that you're looking forward to that next day. Right. So I mentioned this because I think what's really important is that in life, there's models. Right. So I'm going to break this down into, and maybe I'm veering off here, but this is connecting. All right. So stick with me here, guys. But you have, I hate to use the brain as an analogy that it's a computer, because it's not, but that's a whole nother discussion. But to keep it, let's just say, just to keep it like really, really clear as far as analogies go, think about it this way, right? Our beliefs are like our hardware, right? Our belief systems are like our hardware. So, and then think that like tactics and strategies and models are like our apps that we can download. So essentially, right, if you have a certain belief system, you're going to download an app that supports that belief system. Money is evil, right? Or paleo is the best way to eat food, or whatever it may be. And like, I'm not taking the piss out of anything right here. I'm just saying that whatever, if your belief system on a subconscious level is that you're not worth it, you're going to download apps, right? Models of living that are going to support those belief systems. And stay with me here to see where I'm going with this, right? But if your belief system is like, hey, a healthy body that has capacity, right, allows me to live a better life, work better, spend better time with my family, be more confident with myself, achieve more, all these different things, then the app that you want to download is a model of somebody, right, that is being successful with what you want to do. Example, you work 12-hour days, you have 2 kids, and, but you really want to be lean, you want to be strong, you want to be powerful, but you only have so much time because you love spending time with your family. Okay. But your belief system is that you can be healthy and fit and lead your family and influence them that same way. Well, the model would be finding someone, right? This is an example, finding someone that has that same type of life, right? They work a 12-hour job. They do have kids, but they still stay lean. So what are they doing, right? What are they doing that's allowing them to do that? And you might, and the thing is, if it's somebody known, you might be able to read an autobiography about them. You might be able to go onto a webinar. You may be able to hire them for coaching, or you may be able to read a book that they wrote, right? Or read blogs that they're writing, whatever it may be. And so now that's your app. You download it and you go like, well, okay, this guy wakes up, 30 minutes before his family wakes up, and he does this, and that, right? And then during lunch break, he smashes out a 45-minute workout. This is what he does during his workout. So when he gets home, he's ready to have, play with the kids. And after the kids go to bed, then he does some reading and studying and working on some other projects, and then spends time with his wife, and, still gets his 6.5, 7 hours of sleep in, right? But that's the app. It's the model, right? So you have this belief system. You find that model of, what works for somebody in a very similar situation. Now, there's models, and this is what I've been exploring more now is okay, what about models of loss? What about the models of grief? What about the models of like anxiety and depression and overcoming, really, really challenging things in your life that we all go through, right? And this is where I go in and really dig and search and find people and get mentors to find out, like, if you've had loss in your life, and that may be from death, from a broken relationship, from whatever it may be. There are people that have had, that experience feels unique to you because it's your experience. It's like no one else's, but those feelings and those same situations have happened to thousands of other people. And so many of them have overcome that, right? And there's a model for how they overcame it. Now, all models don't work for everybody, but when you explore these, you find the app for you, right? So I mentioned like Nate talking because we're always talking about, life and rituals and habits and all these different things that are going on in our lives. And, that's something that's really worked for them in his relationship. And so I take note of that. I'm like, wow, okay, I think that's a really, really great thing. I should consider making this my positive addiction and start working it in 20, 30 days and see what it does for my life and whether I want to keep it. So, with that said, you notice that like we talk about positive addictions, and positive addictions can also be models, right? It can be models from that are steps across that bridge from where you are right now to where you want to go, right? And so finding which app to plug into your life so that you can get there is crucial. And, what I wanted to share with you, like I said, the Vigor Life podcast is about, hey, it's this journey where not only myself, but like everybody that I have on the show is, we're talking about like these models, right? And perspectives. So we're talking about the hardware and the software of life that makes you live a better life. And obviously a big part of that is the physical nature of it. And, me having a gym is obviously something that I truly believe in, and fitness being a vehicle to a much, much better, like so say fitness and nutrition being a vehicle to a much, much better life in every aspect. But it's important to like just understand, how to find these perspectives and how to find these apps to plug in and then be successful. So my goal for you and this week, right? So after you listen to the show, I would even go like, hey, do it right now. Because remember, if you're not taking action on this stuff, knowledge, it says knowledge gets you halfway there. I don't necessarily believe that, right? We become who we are by doing, not by thinking. So, what are you going to do? What is a positive addiction that you can add to your day? Whether it's the 5 minutes of flow, whether it's a smoothie and you go with the Vitamix, or maybe you don't want to drop that much money and you go with the Ninja or something like that. Is it the meditation in the morning? Is it, the 3 wins at night? Or is it the 3 things you're grateful for in the morning with 3 things you're looking forward to, right? So I just shared quite a few, and I'd have you consider not plugging in everything because it's too much. And I kind of like really excited about this whole Vitamix thing, and everybody's looking at me like crazy because there's some, a bunch of people in the gym that are already doing it. And I'm just like, yeah, but for me, this has been a breakthrough because I finally have kind of like dropped this bad habit and plugging in this new one, right? So many people say like, well, but you got your shit together. And trust me, like so much stuff I don't have together, and we all have our own, I would say, strengths and weaknesses. And so how have you consider that you just add one thing? Okay, add one positive addiction. The other reason for that is because you will see how that one thing influences your day. How you feel, how you go about everything. And you'll be able to go like, wow, 10 days in, like this, like I got to keep this, man. Like my life is better. Everything's going towards the way I want it to go. So with that said, let me know. Hey, let me know. Share with me like what went right, what you're doing right now. I'd love to hear from you. If you got any questions, send them to Luka, Luka, at, and then my last name, Hocevar performance.com. I'm going to spell that just in case. Okay. So it's HOCEVAR performance.com. And I'll put that in the show notes. So remember that all the show notes, all the stuff from the video, everything, you can get it at vigorgroundfitness.com/podcast. Okay. But I would love to hear what your positive addictions are and what has really helped you change your life. I'd love to do that. Actually, I'd love to do a show with your questions and with the feedback of everybody else that's listening in to let me know what's working for you. Because, guess what? Like, I'm always learning. I'm learning from my clients. I'm learning from you guys. I'm learning from every single person. Like, what's that app that I can download, right? So it's a really great way to think about everything, right? Somebody hits me up and it's like, hey, download Wunderlist. It's a great to do. Boom, download. Right. So it might not be as simple as that in our lives, but if we can find that great app and start working into kind of have it in our lives, it really will make a humongous change. So let me hear from you. We'll be back with the next episode of Vigor Life Podcast. Love and appreciate you. Luka's out. Peace.